Hola, buenos días.
Buenas tardes, buenas noches.
This is Barb.
And this is Estela.
And welcome to
Cafecito
and Crime. Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. Excuse me that I sound a little bit
congested.
Congested. I don't know how to say that, but yes, I am very congested. Anyway, my son was sick and he decided to get me sick. So
are you the only one that got sick?
But I was the only one that was in the room with him when he was like having a full-on fever. So I was the one that was like, I'll go in there and battle. Mm-hmm. So I got sick and I've been sick since Sunday. Yeah.
But you're way better now because on Sunday.
Way better. No, on Sunday I couldn't get up. I couldn't move. Like my head, like I would stand up and it would spin everywhere. I did fall today though, carrying a case of waters.
Yeah.
In my own house. And now I have a knot right here.
It looks fine.
Yeah. It's purple, but it's okay. So yeah, porque todo me pasa, and if it doesn't, then.
But you're not that. I mean, everybody's sick right now.
I was reading online that I think that Texas has been hit so hard with the flu, like that it's been crazy, the flu season this year. And then it's not even like a flu that you can get an injection for or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Since I don't work in a clinic, I don't know how everything is going with the flus, but I hope everybody does not have the flu because that's not cool.
Yeah.
How you been doing?
I've been good.
Chilling, feeling through it?
I'm not sick.
Good.
Thankfully, washing my hands.
I wash my hands too. And
I'm not around anybody that has an active fever.
That's my son, yeah.
Yep.
I was.
Disinfecting all the things.
Yep. And I asked my husband for Lysol and he brought me Lysol wipes. So I said, what am I supposed to do? Wipe the air?
I mean, how long does it last in the air?
It can last pretty good. Enough for you to get it if you walk in. And I just coughed all over the place.
Well, why aren't you coughing into your elbow?
Because I was in my room and I couldn't stop coughing.
But it's not just like a...
No.
Like an automatic, like...
It wasn't one of those. It was like, like that.
So, but you sleep with your husband?
Yeah.
He's fine?
Yeah, because sleep so far. Because, a few months ago, he told me que estaba enfermo, que he probably had COVID, but I didn't notice it.
¿No te dijo?
Él me dijo.
But you were supposed to read his mind that he was sick.
Yeah, because his coworker was sick, so he must have been sick too.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Y yo no le hice caso.
He was like, okay, well, ahí está la medicine.
I was like, well, I didn't know that you
We have a whole ass medicine cabinet.
Yeah. You can take anything from there. And
just read what it's for.
Take it. And I was like,
okay.
You didn't even look sick, so I don't understand.
You acted the same.
Yeah, so whatever. But yeah, I was cooking with my mask on, and I've been still having to do my chores. We can't stop as moms, pero aquí andamos chingándole,
Yeah,
as we can. So where are we going today?
For today's case, we are going to Freehold Township, New Jersey.
I thought you were going to say frijoles. Why? I don't know. It sounded like you were going to say frijoles.
You want some?
I have frijoles. I cooked yesterday frijoles. They were actually really good. Yeah. But no. So say it again. Freehold?
Freehold. Township. New Jersey.
Oh, so it has 3 names.
No, New Jersey's a state.
So, but okay. All right. Have we been here before?
I don't know if we've ever had a case take place in New Jersey.
I don't know. I don't think so. I know we've been to New York.
Yeah.
And everywhere.
No, we haven't. Been to Connecticut, Rhode Island. No. Not that I can think of.
No. Okay, never mind. All right. So if you would like to come with us to
Freehold Township, New Jersey,
go ahead and grab your cafecitos.
And let's get started. Now, the fun, random, interesting facts about Freehold. I know it sounds like I'm saying freeholes.
No, it sounds like you're saying freeholes. Like, I'm being serious. When you listen to this, the future Estela, tell me that you don't sound like you're saying freeholes.
Because I know what I'm saying. I guess because I'm the one saying it. So, no capté that it was going to sound like that until you said it.
Freehold.
Yeah, like free.
And then hold.
Like hold this bottle of...
Or you're holding the freeness from you.
Yes.
Okay.
So, freehold...
Can't get over it.
Now that's all I can think about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The area was actually inhabited by the indigenous tribe, the Lenape. The name Lenny Lenape actually translates to original people or real people, which makes sense because, they were there first. ¿Para qué?
The OGs.
The OGs, exactamente. And another fun fact, random, is that one of the largest battles of the Revolutionary War, the Battle of Monmouth, took place in Freehold in 1778.
Wow.
It's a long ass time
That
ago.
is, I was about to say, that's a long ass time ago.
Almost 300.
That's like too much to think.
Closer to 400.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago. Like my niece says.
Nephew.
My niece.
Nephew. Your
My
niece.
Yeah.
Now, we'll begin today's case with Stephanie Nicole Parze. So Stephanie was born on February 19th, 1994 in Freehold, Monmouth County, New Jersey, to parents Edward, or we'll call him Ed, porque así le dicen al señor, and Charlene Parze. Stephanie was the oldest of 4 girls. Then came Brianna, Carissa, and lastly, Haley.
Puras mujeres.
Puras mujeres. He was a girl dad.
Puro producto para hombre. Para novio. Para esposo.
Yes. If that's what they choose.
Or either way.
Yeah.
We support.
The Parze family was a very tight-knit family. They spent a lot of time together. They went on a lot of vacations. They had game nights where things got a lot, competitive, but it was just mostly fun. Like what you would think like what a family should be or looks like they had a normal upbringing or like what a normal family should be. You would think of the Parze family. As Stephanie grew up, she was described as a firecracker. She was loud and, as always, the life of the party. And she was super tiny. She was only 4'11".
Oh.
Yeah. And
that's how tall the girl from our case from last week was, but she wasn't a nice person.
The killer.
Yeah.
And when I heard that she was 4'11", I don't know why, and because she's from New Jersey, I just immediately thought of Snooki. I don't know why. And Snooki's name is Nicole. Her middle name is Nicole, so I don't know why she came to mind, but I guess just because of the height. So Stephanie also wore her heart on her sleeve, and she didn't sugarcoat things. What you saw was what you got with her. She was also very independent, very strong. She loved art and was extremely talented. She also loved animals and she loved kids. She was into sports and loved softball, hockey, and the New York Yankees. She liked to bowl and go shopping, especially for shoes. And it just seemed that she lived life to the fullest and she just loved every minute of it.
That's awesome. I wonder how it is to feel like you love every minute of your life.
Yeah.
Like, how is it like to, not that I don't love my life, but like, how is it to feel like you're always on cloud 9? Like you're always like,
I mean, I'm sure she had her like days,
I'm
right?
Sure. But like, I wonder how it is to always, I'm pretty sure she probably succeeded in a lot of stuff too. Like, because once your mentality is up there, then everything around you just falls into place. Yeah. It looks pink outside.
Oh, it does. It was cloudy most of the day. Now, as I just mentioned, as a child, she began to get into art and she excelled at it. As she grew up, she switched the medium of paper and pencil to makeup.
Oh, okay.
She went to cosmetology school and got certified, and she eventually wanted to own her own business.
Yes.
And in order for her to do so, she knew that she had to put herself out there with social media blowing up at the time. She knew that was the way that she would go about it. So she started to post her makeup looks on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Get it, girl.
So she did more than just your everyday makeup looks. She did art on her face. Like those artists that just transform into like a skeleton or those sort of looks that,
I've seen girls that can turn into like trees or
like they come all the way down, like even
like
to your chest.
You're like, damn.
I'm like, how?
Yeah, I saw this one lady. I think she was from Japan, and it was a young girl, and she would like look like she had 5 eyes.
Yeah.
And it was the craziest
And they have like
thing.
no mouth, like their mouth disappears.
That's
and
so cool.
I'm like, whoa, talent. Imagine having talent. I can't.
Cannot relate.
And she also did special effects. Like she was talented. So over the years, her hard work began to pay off. She was gaining a following online and people loved her makeup looks. People in her area would started to hire her to do their makeups for special occasions, for Halloween, for parties that they were going to.
People pay to get their makeup done for Halloween.
Yeah. She even got hired to do makeup for New York Fashion Week in 2016.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So while her professional life seemed to be on the up and up, her personal life, not so much, according to Stephanie. So her lifelong dream was to settle down and start a family. She turned to dating apps to hopefully meet someone, and she listed her main interest as horror movies, special effects, and adventure. She wasn't too picky. She just wanted someone who would treat her well and someone that could take care of her. And she wanted to offer those things in return to that person. And she also just wanted to meet someone that she could have fun with.
And then she had a lot to offer too. Like, she was pretty successful herself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. She was excited about the prospect of finding someone, and she would get giddy when she would get a message from a guy, and she would always get her sister's opinions también. She would ask them, hey, look at this guy. Do you think he's cute? Hey, look what he told me, Her family told her to, be safe when talking to guys
Because
online.
it's scary. Yeah.
To always do her research on the people that she was talking to and not just jump into a relationship with somebody just because she wanted to find someone and settle down. They just wanted her to be careful since obviously, as we know, there are a lot of people out there who pretend to be someone that they're not, and you just never really know who you're talking to.
Yep.
At one point, Stephanie began dating a guy named Alex, whom her family liked. Her sister Brianna later goes on to say that they had the next rule, which was whenever one of them had a bad feeling about someone's significant other, they would tell each other next, and that it was time to move on from that person. And Alex didn't get this quote unquote next from her family. So they liked him. They never got a bad feeling from him, and they thought he was fine. From what everyone gathered about their relationship, it appeared to have been a good one. And it may have started out that way, but things quickly took a turn for the worse.
And that's why we're here.
So one day, Stephanie mentioned to her sister Brianna that she was going to end things with Alex. And cuando Brianna asked her why, she responded that they had gotten into a bad argument and that he hit her.
Oh, no, ma'am.
Yeah.
Keep your hands to yourself, brother.
So true to her word, she broke things off with Alex. Stephanie didn't let this bring her down, and after a bit of time, she decided to get back out there and start meeting people again. And in June 2019, it appeared that she had finally met the perfect man. His name was John Osbilgen. I believe that's how you say his last name. And they met through a dating website on Facebook. How do you know Facebook?
I had no idea.
Had like a whole dating section.
But they also have Facebook Marketplace. So
yeah, but I've heard of Marketplace.
Yeah.
I've never heard look at my dating profile on Facebook. Maybe it's just like a Facebook page where people that were single would meet,
Yeah. Or their area, if they're in the area, hey, I'm here, y'all want to come over? Or, not come over, but like
meet
or
start talking. Yeah. So John was 29. He was a stockbroker. He was in shape. He was originally from Staten Island, but he was living in Freehold. And he treated her well, and he was super sweet. They were dating for like a little bit, and when he finally asked her to be his girlfriend, so he did so I guess they were hanging out, y he told her que le fuera a agarrar una cerveza from the fridge. So when she opened the fridge, ahí estaba todo el cartón de cerveza. And adentro del cartón de cerveza tenía un papel that said, will you be my girlfriend?
That's the sweetest thing ever.
Yeah.
If you ever want me to be your girlfriend, you have to ask me like that, okay? From now on, remember, if you don't ask me like that, te voy a decir que no.
Dile a tu esposo que te pregunte to be his girlfriend.
No, I asked him, are you not going to ask me to be your Valentine? He's like, why? Oh, well, yeah, that's exactly why. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
He's going to be like, that's our anniversary.
Yeah.
The day that you guys got married on Valentine's Day, he's like, I will never have to ask you to be my Valentine ever again.
You're just my Valentine.
You're just...
Pero, I mean, sometimes you want to maybe de repente, ¿verdad? Que a lo mejor preguntes, pero nada.
Pero no. He asked you, why are you asking me that?
Yeah. He said, why? I'm like, oh, no, nothing. Nada más.
A ver, ¿por qué tú no le preguntas?
Porque no quiero que sea mi Valentine. Not right now.
Maybe you'll change your mind the day of.
Maybe it'll be different. Maybe I want some tacos.
Wait, pero espérate. A lo mejor he's, telling you why he's trying to throw you off so he can surprise you.
No. You know my husband very much, and he's not going to surprise me for shit.
How much you want to bet?
Whatever.
You want to bet $5?
No.
You want to bet a coffee?
No.
Why? Are you scared? You're going to lose?
No, I'm not scared because he doesn't do stuff like that. You know how he is. But yeah, I asked him, when are you going to ask me your Valentine? Y me dijo que no, que para qué. I was like, oh, wait.
I'm telling you, he said we got married on Valentine's Day all
I don't
those
have
years
to.
ago.
Like,
He's
I
don't have to.
Yeah.
It's on our, where's your wedding ring? He's like that.
It's right. Yep.
So yeah, that's how John asked her to be his girlfriend.
That's cute.
Stephanie was now over the moon.
Yeah.
In her relationship
I feel like
with John.
she loved love. You know,
Yes.
she was like super excited. Like she was probably that girl that like the little girlfriend's day and, like that kind of stuff. That's so sweet.
Yeah, like she was big on social media, especially like she was just always.
She would go to Galentine's.
She would post a lot on Facebook.
Yeah.
So she would just post, I'm obsessed with John. Oh. And, I guess you could tag people on Facebook, and she was just head over heels.
I don't know about telling that you're obsessed with him.
But I don't
know. I guess if that made her happy.
She described her relationship as a fairy tale, and, she hadn't had someone to treat her so well before. But in early to mid-August in 2019, while things seemed to be going well for Stephanie and her personal life, her health life took a turn.
What happened?
She was rushed to the hospital where she would end up staying for a week due to severe pneumonia brought on mainly by vaping.
Really?
Yes.
So what year was this in?
2019.
Oh, okay. Yeah, everybody was vaping, big time vaping in 2019. So severe. That's
severe
crazy.
Pneumonia.
Okay.
Yeah. She was able to get treated, and she had to, of course, have the support of her family and John. He, stayed with her every day and was there for her for whatever she needed. So after she was released from the hospital in much better health, something changed with Stephanie. And it was noticed by her friends and family. So like I just mentioned, she was a massive social media user. She was always posting daily.
Not posting.
She was posting daily on the regular, multiple times a day, every day on Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram.
I mean, when you're a social butterfly, you're a social butterfly.
Yeah, and again, she was trying to build her social media following. So,
I mean, and if you ever, I feel like there's certain things that if that's your goal, then you're going to work on that.
Yeah.
And if that meant that she had,
there's nothing wrong with that.
I didn't see nothing wrong with that.
And of course, all that changed after she got released from the hospital. She wasn't posting anywhere, and if she did, it was very minimal.
Well, yeah, because she didn't probably feel good.
So that didn't just last as soon as she got released from the hospital. That followed for the next month or so.
Really?
So August turned into September. And one day, Charlene, Stephanie's mom, received a call from Stephanie. And she could hear commotion in the background. I believe Stephanie was able to tell her that someone had hit her. And Charlene asked her, "Who hit you?" And it appeared that she had said that it was John.
What?
So Ed, su dad, which had been right there cuando le habló a Charlene, got in his car and made his way to Stephanie's house, which was only 6 miles away. As he turned the corner close to her home, he saw Stephanie running.
What?
Running towards, she had a wooded area behind her house or cerquita de su casa. So he slammed on the brakes. He got out of his car and he yelled her name. She ran towards him, and only the clothes that she had slept in the night before. Y estaba descalza. She wasn't wearing any shoes. She wasn't wearing any socks. And she was also bleeding from her head, from the side of her head and su mano on her hand. It was now apparent that John obviously wasn't the perfect man that he had painted himself to be, and had turned out to be just like el otro, el ex. Mm-hmm. Ed put Stephanie in his car, and then he got in, and they made their way to Stephanie's, where he planned to take matters into his own hands.
What?
But as soon as they pulled into her driveway, a police car arrived at the same time and kind of cut it off. So it turns out that Charlene, before Ed left the house, she actually ended up calling 911 también. So John was arrested and taken to the police station, where Ed followed. While on the drive there, they had a conversation. Ed did with Stephanie about John. Ed told her that, John was done. She needed to break up with him and that he was no longer welcomed in his home or with his family.
Obviously.
And he said, you take care of it before I do. Mm-hmm. A simple assault charge was filed against John on September 23rd. He would later show up to a court at Freehold Township Municipal Court on November 6th for a hearing that would be later postponed for December 17th. So true to her word, Stephanie broke up with John and chose to move on from that relationship. Now, in early October 2019, really strange things began to happen to Stephanie in her house. One day she called her mom, Charlene, in a panic, telling her that her house was either haunted or possessed.
What?
In her bathroom, on the mirror was a handprint that was then dragged down the mirror.
Oh, shit.
And you could see it. Obviously, she recorded it and either sent it to her mom or sent it, but you could clearly see it. But that wasn't the only disturbing occurrence. In another instance, Stephanie found one of her parakeets dead in its cage.
Oh, hell no. Don't mess with the pets.
And it had just been perfectly okay earlier that day and leading up to when she found him. Stephanie believed that someone was sneaking into her house without her knowing. So to find out if that was the case, she asked her sister Brianna. I guess her sister ended up having like a baby. So she asked her sister Brianna if she had any spare baby monitors.
Okay.
Because she wanted, that she could borrow to install them in her house. And her sister was just like, yeah.
I mean, she wanted to catch somebody, basically.
Right.
Or what was going on, basically.
Who the fuck is doing that
Yeah, that's crazy. It's scary.
Sadly, Stephanie wouldn't get to borrow the monitors from her sister.
Oy.
On October 30th, Stephanie, her sisters, and their mom, Charlene, all went to like a medium psychic show. They just found that type of thing interesting. So they made their way out there. After they returned to the Parze family home around 10 p.m., Stephanie got in her vehicle, said goodbye to her family, and made like the 6 or 7 minute drive home. She even posted a Snapchat on the way. So Ed and Charlene had asked her to call or text when she got home, which was, lo hacían todo el tiempo. That was a common occurrence. Ed and Charlene ahí estaban y pasaban los minutos, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and they never got the text from Stephanie. And it was odd since her house wasn't very far at all. So they decided to reach out to her instead, but they didn't hear back. Again, weird, but they told themselves that she probably still had her phone on silent from the show and that she probably just got home and went to sleep because she had to go to work the next morning. Mm-hmm. And so they went to bed thinking that they'd just hear back from her.
In the morning.
The next day, yeah. And so the next morning, when they still hadn't heard back from her, they were beginning to worry a bit. Knowing that she had a nanny job that morning, they tried reaching out to her again, thinking that she was still sleeping. But they got no answer. So Charlene and Carissa went over to her place to see if she was there. When they arrived, her car was there. They felt a little bit of relief. They're like, oh, she's probably está en la casa. When they tried her door, it was unlocked.
Uh-oh.
And when they walked inside, all the lights were on. And when they walked into the living room, her coat and her shoes were by the couch. So they were like, oh, she must be here then. She has to be asleep. Let's go find her in her room. So as they walked into her room, she wasn't there. But you know how all those strange things had been happening in her house?
Yeah.
She was so scared that she actually kept like an actual kitchen knife next to her in her room. And they found it. That's how scared she was that, somebody was going to do something to her.
Damn.
Charlene thought that Charlene had obviously they had walked into her house y no la encontraban. So Charlene just thought, okay, let me ping her cell phone. And she did, and they heard a ping coming from the living room. So they walked to the living room and she pinged the phone. She pinged the phone multiple times, and they actually ended up finding it under the sofa cushions. So her car was there. Her stuff was there.
Her phone.
Her phone was there, but she wasn't. So they were thinking, okay, where is she? Did she go to work somehow? Her sister Carissa tried breaking into her phone or putting on a passcode, but she was unsuccessful. But you know how on your home screen, obviously, if you get a text message, you could see what it says. And there was a text from her employer asking her where she was and if everything was okay.
Oh, shit. So she didn't make it to work.
Exactly. So now they knew that she hadn't made it to work either, which was not like her to miss work. So Charlene and Carissa made it back to the Parze family home, and they informed the rest of the family that they hadn't found anything at Stephanie's and that she wasn't there. I guess people started panicking a little bit, and Brianna kind of wanted to keep things calm for everyone. So she kind of tried to explain things away. She was just telling them that, that Stephanie was okay, that she was just probably with a friend and they just needed to get a hold of that person so they could get in touch with Stephanie. So that's what they started to do. They started reaching out to all of her friends on social media, whoever, their cell phones or whatever. But no one had seen or heard from Stephanie. Now, Brianna took it upon herself to hack into Stephanie's Facebook to see if,
who she'd been talking to.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And to see if, it might point to a clue to where she was. Now, the night before, she had been messaging with some people, but her last message was from John. In their message thread, he had asked her where she was, like past 11, después de las 11. And when she didn't answer, he just kept on, he just said, ignoring me again, ? LOL. And then he said, just a simple straight answer once in a while would be nice. And then the messages, he started kind of getting pissed off. But the messages were left unanswered.
Mm-hmm. Like more aggressive.
Yes. So she logged out of of Stephanie's Facebook, and then she logged into her own Facebook y le mandó un mensaje a John. Mm-hmm. Y le estaba preguntando, hey, where is my sister? He said that he didn't know, that he had slept over at her house the night before.
Interesting.
And that in the morning she was running late for work. So he left before she did and hadn't spoken to her since. That's what he said. Now, I'm not sure what the status of the relationship was up to, at that time, but it seems that they were back on speaking terms after she had filed the assault charge in September. Or at least that's what he was making it seem. So when Brianna read that he had spent the night and that he had seen her that morning, it kind of gave her a bad feeling due to how things had transpired in the past between the two. Now the whole family had a bad feeling, and that maybe John had something to do with her disappearance. So after failing to reach her that day, Charlene called 911 to report her missing. She relayed to the operator the events of the night before and how they hadn't been able to get a hold of her, and that her ex-boyfriend John appeared to have been the last one to see her, and how they didn't have the best relationship. So police began their investigation into Stephanie's disappearance and went to speak with the last person who had seen her, which was John. And he very quickly became a person of interest after they noticed marks around his neck.
Uh-oh. That's not ever good.
They were also able to execute a search warrant for his cell phone. But it didn't yield any results as far as Stephanie's whereabouts. And, in his house too, which they would end up executing a couple of search warrants and, for his house, his car, but they didn't have it didn't tell them any clues as to where Stephanie was. Now, Brianna again logged into Stephanie's Facebook and made a post asking anyone for any information in regards to her sister and her whereabouts, and to contact her if anyone had any information. Now, her plea on social media took off. She was getting messages from people. They were just telling her, hey, maybe you and your family should search this area. Or,
like giving it advice.
Right. Yeah. And be like, hey, have you checked if her neighbors had any cameras?
Just things that sometimes you don't think about.
Exactly. Not only that, but people also were sharing, the disappearance about Stephanie on social media in different states, Michigan, Tennessee, New York. It even made it out to fucking Australia.
Danger.
While with the social media traction her disappearance was receiving, it wasn't long before the media also picked up on it, and it became national news.
Damn.
The Parze family began to mobilize themselves in the search for Stephanie. Thousands of flyers were passed out from New Jersey to Pennsylvania to New York, down south. They made T-shirts, they made hoodies, because para este entonces está poniendo frío. And their T-shirts had her missing poster on it. Search parties were organized where people showed up in the hundreds to help in the search. They were searching in New York. For days, they combed through wooded areas, dumpsters, ditches, waterways, alleyways, you name it. But despite all the efforts, there was no sign of Stephanie.
Pobrecitos, they were trying really hard.
Now, 7 days after Stephanie went missing, John was arrested.
Okay.
But it was unrelated to her disappearance. When his phone was initially confiscated, police found 2 search terms on his browser related to child pornography.
Oh, shit. No, that's something totally different.
A week later, more in-depth results showed that he had downloaded a child pornography image.
What the fuck?
Therefore, a second warrant was executed specifically to search his phone for evidence of child pornography.
Danger.
In addition to the missing persons case. Later, 9 additional images were found of children as young as 3 being sexually abused.
What the hell?
And he was held in custody for 11 days and was released afterward.
Why'd they let him go?
He faced a single charge of child pornography, and Judge Paul X. Escandon stated that it wasn't enough to keep him detained until his trial. Even though the Monmouth County Assistant Prosecutor Caitlin Sidley hoped to convince Judge Scandon to keep him in jail while the search for Stephanie continued. And so she told him about the 10 nasty text messages and derogatory messages that he had sent her the night before she disappeared, in which he blamed her for their failed relationship and told her that, she always had to make their relationship suck.
Oh, really? That had nothing to do with the fact that you beat me.
Not only that, but Sidley also made Judge Scanton aware of John's previous domestic violence charges from 3 different victims, including Stephanie, just that year alone.
Oh, shit. So she wasn't the only one.
He even had an active restraining order against him from a previous dating relationship in New York City.
What the fuck?
So all of that, coupled with the child pornography charge, made him, unsafe for the community. That's what, the prosecutor was letting the judge know. But John's attorney, Robert A. Honecker, argued that Stephanie's disappearance and the other, domestic violence charges had nothing to do with the current sole charge that he was currently now facing, to which John maintained his innocence and stated that he did not have those images on his phone intentionally.
Oh, it was an accident.
It was an accident. It was spam.
Spam. Okay.
You know que te mandan esos chain letters?
Sí. It was an accident. It was an accident.
So as I mentioned, Judge Scanton agreed and granted his release, which was monitored.
Yeah, it's up to what point?
He had to report to the court in person and by phone twice a month. He was barred from using the internet and using drugs.
Oh, yeah. Don't use the internet. Don't use drugs. Okay.
He must also maintain or seek employment because at that time, John had been fired from the financial group that he worked for in October. So he now had to find a job as a condition of his release. So as the days passed, Stephanie was like, no la encontraban. She was nowhere to be found.
Yeah, all of this is going on, but where's Stephanie?
Exactly. Todavía la andan buscando, obvio. Yeah. But there were no leads as to where she might be. So 22 days later, after she went missing, on November 22nd, Ed received a phone call from detectives, letting him know that they had found a body, but it wasn't Stephanie's.
Oh.
It was John's.
What?
He hung himself in his parents' garage.
Oh, he did?
Yes. And he left a couple of notes before he did so. And the first one, it's addressed to his parents. And it reads, "Dear Mom and Dad, sorry about all the craziness. I've been miserable for so long. I had enough. Thanks for everything. I can't do life in prison. Most of the stuff you will hear is true, except the child pornography."
Oh, wow. Sorry we even thought of that, sir.
So that's pretty much essentially what he said as far as,
the biggest thing.
Yeah. Everything else is just like, use this picture for my funeral, plan this and this.
Oh, sacó picture.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
What he had enough of, quién sabe. But Stephanie's family, the police, and the media took what he wrote on that note as an admittance that he had done something to do with Stephanie. But with him now gone, it was going to be more difficult to find out what truly happened, especially since he hadn't disclosed any details or where Stephanie was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the second note he left behind was addressed to his ex-girlfriend, which appeared to have been the ex-girlfriend that had the active restraining order against him in New York.
Okay, so he left a letter for her?
For her, yeah. And then in that letter, he mentioned Stephanie too, but not directly by name, but you can kind of, connect the dots here. And as far as Stephanie went, this is what he said in that note. He said, don't believe everything you hear in the news. The girl in the news was such a piece of shit. She hurt me over and over.
What?
She was a terrible person.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Even though you hit her.
Yeah. And you might have done something to her. We're not sure.
And you were calling her out. He was just in the messages that she left unanswered. Like he was just calling her the worst names, just going off on her, just crazy. So the Parze family wasn't going to give up regardless if he was here or not. They were going to continue their search for Stephanie. And that's what they did for the next almost 3 months.
Yeah.
On January 26th, Eric Rodriguez, who was 17, and he was on his way to work at the local Grand Marquis catering hall. He arrived and he tried to park, but it was busy at where you park in the parking area. So he decided to park somewhere else and he decided to walk. They usually had a shuttle that would pick them up, but he decided to walk, and then he brought one of his coworkers with him para no irse caminando de regreso solo. And that other coworker, his name was Jeremy Parze, and who was 18. So it was 2 teenagers. As they were walking back southbound on Route 9, they noticed what they thought was a mannequin over the guardrail, just about like a couple of feet away, maybe 10, 15 feet away. As they got closer to take a look, they realized it was a body.
Uh-oh.
And the body was clothed, but it was facing down. So the police were immediately called when, they arrived at the scene, and the body was taken for an autopsy, which was conducted the next day in the morning. And, if she was then positively identified as the body of 25-year-old Stephanie Parze. And what is crazy is that where her body was found was only half a mile away from where the community had done a search.
Dude, like, that's November. What I was about to say. I mean, it sounds like she was out there in like the open.
Yeah, that's what they were saying. That area, when you drive by, you couldn't see it, as you had to have been walking. And it was like
But I'm sure that those kids weren't the only 2 people that had to walk through there, right?
I don't know. I don't know, but it was like zacate no estaba cortado, like that kind of stuff, So this is what is believed that happened on October 30th. That night, when, she was at the show with her mom and her sisters, he was blowing up her phone and she was ignoring him, which apparently was like a trigger for him. It is, suspected that he was using steroids.
Okay.
So apparently, Kim getting ignored was like one of his triggers, right? And he became enraged, and then he went to her house cuando ella llegó. And he found her in her bedroom and strangled her. He then moved, got her body, put it in his car, and then he drove to Route 9, where he pulled to the side and threw her over the guardrail. So there is like a slope, but where he disposed of the body, there was a tree that, halted her from rolling down the slope. Now that, they had finally found Stephanie, the Parze family, they went through so much, and Stephanie obviously went through so much, and they didn't want what they suffered and what she suffered to happen to anybody else. So in Stephanie's memory, they started a foundation in her name called the Stephanie Nicole Parze Foundation. And it's a nonprofit organization that offers support, education, and intervention to families and individuals dealing with domestic violence, sexual assault, and, help with missing children. So that is the case of Stephanie Nicole Parze.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the fact that he just killed himself, and he was just like, you might hear it and it might be true, but
everything but child pornography.
But child pornography.
Not that.
Not that.
Yeah. So, so if you or anyone you know is impacted by domestic violence or abuse, please reach out to the 24/7 free and confidential support hotline at 1-800-799-7233 or go to www.thehotline.org.
Wow, that is crazy. And but it's a good way for Stephanie's
Memory.
case and her memory to be out there for her parents to have done that. For anybody that needs any help, please contact the numbers that Estela just mentioned. If you'd like to follow us, please follow us on Instagram at
Cafecito and Crime Pod. And if you would like to download our episodes, we would really appreciate it. Rate us, leave us a review. You can listen to us anywhere that you listen to podcasts, including now YouTube, audio only.
Yes. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.